All right, we're live.
We're live.
Hello.
So last week we recorded the lost episode.
Oh, did
no
it
one
not
will
get
no one
published?
will ever know. No, there was no one came. It was just me. I was just sitting here by myself for 10 minutes and then yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're just going to do a rant episode.
Yeah, it was my wife's birthday and we took off on Friday, so
you should have just done a chain of associations episode, Josh, where you're like, yeah, I really like copywriting, and I also like going to the pool. It's really cool when I go to the pool and I make a big splash, and I like to do cannonballs in the pool.
So how was you guys were at the 10X, that was the Grant Cardone, right? The 10X conference last week. How was that?
Yeah, we ended up like leaving early because it was like it was a cheerleading session. It was like there was like 9,000 people. It was crazy. So They sold a lot of tickets to that thing. It wasn't bullshit like the tiers or the tickets that they were selling, but it was mostly like 18-year-old hopeful, kids that wanted to start their business and make some money. Give me my money. And so they had a bunch. Their lineup, at least for the first day, was really just like testosterone fueled, like, go get your money.
What's his name? Russell Brunson did what? 4 million, 3.5 million? That's what Sean was saying yesterday, right?
Yeah.
3.5 million from the stage, or 4 million from the stage.
Holy cow.
So there was a pitch fest, too.
Every guy was pitching their product at the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but none of it was like, it wasn't practical, applicable advice. It was just like boo, rah, rah, motivational. And so, but 9,000 people, you're not going to really talk about some real business strategy, right? You're just going to say, you can do it. Fucking do it. The best advice I got the whole time was like, if you go into the men's restroom and you see a paper towel on the floor, pick it up and put it in the trash can.
And even that was bad advice because he himself wasn't doing it. He was asking boys to do it. Andy Fischera.
Yeah. He gave one example, right? Yeah, he gives that example, and then he's like, and then he gives some other example. He's like, I go through my warehouse and I see some shit on the floor, and like my employee is just walking by the pile of shit, and I'm like, tell him to come over. I'm like, do you see the values we have on that board? Right? Everybody takes responsibility, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, hold on, why is this pile of shit in the warehouse different than the paper towel in a random men's restroom? What, like?
So, but you won't pick up your own stuff in the fucking business. You're gonna have someone else do it.
Yeah.
Way to delegate.
Yeah, way to delegate responsibility. Yeah.
No, I said delegate, not abdicate.
Way to delegate responsibility is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're just starting out your business and you just like, it might have been useful, but if you're already running a business, I don't think it seemed like it wasn't that useful of an event. So
yeah, I think at that scale, it's just impossible to have anything that's like biz, like very specific tactical or strategic stuff. You really get into the motivational space when it's 9,000 people. Like right now, I'm going to social media marketing worlds, and it's very targeted towards social media, and it's very specific. Like all day, there are YouTube tracks and podcast tracks, video live tracks running all day long. That's kind of cool.
I have a number of friends who are at that right now.
Yeah, who are they?
Aaron Walker.
Aaron Walker, the Iron.
Yep.
Guy.
Yep, and Scott Beebe. I think Tom Schwab's there. I know a bunch of people who have gone.
Nice. Yeah, we went to a TubeBuddy event last night. That was cool.
Yeah. I got to meet and then we went to another one, like Andrew Warner's the Mixergy guy. He had an event, and I met Antonio, Real Men Real Style. So he's like partners with Alpha M with Aaron Marino, and
right.
they actually have, this is something you'll be interested in, Josh. There's actually 4 partners in this company. It's called I think it's called
Menfluence.
Yeah, Menfluence. You're right. Yeah. And what they do is they have a bunch of brands. They have like 200 or something, like all of the major brands, and they do advertise. They basically act as an agency to basically connect influencers with the brands, right? So, for instance, some of these YouTubers, like the big YouTubers, they'll get like $25,000 to $35,000 per video.
Holy cow.
For mentioning, like, an electric shaver or whatever it is, whatever the thing is.
Oh, wow.
And even some of the smaller YouTubers that they represent, they're getting like, $300 to $1,000 per video. So they also do website though, and they also do, and one of their clients is actually Skillsoft. So so there's like, they've got big brands, and you can, it's no secret like who their clients are. Like you can look at any of their YouTube videos and see who they advertise. But yeah, they basically are connected to all of them, and they get much. They're negotiating really good rates for
Interesting.
So, yeah,
I'm not charging enough.
Yeah, but apparently, like, yeah, the rates. Well, they're talking. These guys are getting millions of views, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were asking for CPM. He didn't really give a CPM number. He was kind of like just giving random, like he was giving vague numbers. He never gave a clear CPM answer, right?
Yeah, not really. I think because the CPM is actually kind of too high on that. Like they don't want to talk CPM because they're looking at, they're looking at selling the influencer and not worrying about the CPM numbers on the because it seems like it's a really high CPM, right? I mean, if you think about it, like the lowest person that they represented, like because he was saying that some people that had like that would have 500 to 1,000 views on a video, that they were getting like $300 to $500 for an ad placement per video. So that's like, if you look at that, like what is that CPM wise? I mean,
it's worth it to pay $2 to reach a YouTube viewer.
CPM, John. $300 CPM.
Yeah, $200 CPM, right? So that's kind of ridiculous. Like you wouldn't want to like say, oh, $200 CPM, because then it sends the wrong message.
The wrong message being one of us is winning big in this scenario and one of us is losing big.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, but as long as they can, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, and they're basing it, obviously, like they're targeting specific niches and specific brands, and the way that they do the advertising, the advertisers are happy with the returns. But they represent maybe, I forgot what he said. It was like maybe 100 YouTubers or so, right? And so they're able to, it's kind of like what you're doing, Chuck, with like you're like having a podcast network, right? So they've got all these brands, they've got all these shows that they can put the brands on. And so that's, I mean, this is kind of a confirmation too. This is the way to go, because when you've got a corner on all the talent, you can raise high prices. You can have high prices for the advertising, because the only way to get these guys is through them, right?
Right.
So,
yep.
So that's something that you might consider, Chuck, is like, again, when we talked about like you not just having your own podcast, but representing other podcasts and being the only way that someone can advertise on one of those podcasts, then that makes your entire network more valuable.
Chuck, you're already doing what, $30, $40 CPM, right?
My top end is $50.
Yeah.
CPM.
I mean, 50 to 200 is not that much of a leap, considering one is video and one is audio.
Yeah. Let me pull up my dashboard here. I can even share my screen here for a minute. But I've actually been working on adding stuff to this. I kind of got a little depressed, and this was kind of how I pulled myself out of it.
Well, and you're doing 30 to 50 CPM per slot, right?
Per slot, yes.
Oh, and you've got like what, 4 slots on a podcast episode?
3 slots on a podcast episode.
Oh, so
there
you're
you go.
You're already at 100 to 150 CPM right there. So
yeah, yeah. What I'm looking at here, let me just share this real quick. So I've got it now so that I can see, you know, how many placements I have filled and then how many openings I have on each of these shows.
This is starting to look like a little empire, Chuck.
Yeah. So I need to alphabetize these or something, or sort them by the number of episodes. But anyway, so once I get the filled placements up, you know, to like 50 or 60, 70%, then I can start looking at which shows I want to increase the CPM on.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I've got 20% of these spots filled. What's funny is I've got like 3 sponsors at this point that I just need to send invoices to. So that'll fill some of this. And if I can get Linode to renew, you know, they'll fill slots on all these shows. So it's just, we have a pending renewal, and this just goes over the next 13 episodes. So anyway, so these numbers, excuse me, these numbers will all change. They'll all go down by 13, except for iFreaks, because Microsoft sponsored everything. all the...
Nice.
Yep. So
man, Chuck, you're still killing on likes there, my friend.
yeah,
I know, right? So yeah. So what I'm probably going to put on some of these is something like available inventory or something. But anyway, what this does is at a glance, and on Monday morning when I have my team meeting, I just pull this up and show this to Michelle, and I'm like, look, this show needs filled, you know, this show needs filled, and you know, and then I just get to work on the sponsorships and reaching out to people. So, but it's coming together. And some of the stuff that I've done on this, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Some of the stuff I've done on this is mostly the way that I think about sponsorships and the way that I run things. And I realize that other people are going to come in and want something different. But if I can get this so that it works for my case, then I can bring other people in and say, okay, you know, what needs to be generalized, and then I can work that out. But yeah, so I now know, okay, I've got to go fill, you know, a bunch more sponsorship spots.
Whoever speaks first loses. Oh man, there we go. So Chuck, what else has been going on in your world?
So yeah, so I mentioned I got a little bit depressed. I hate using that word because I know that it's kind of a loaded term and it means different things to different people. But yeah, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I just really had a hard time wanting to do anything. And I mean, really, I just wanted to be in bed. I had no motivation to get anything done. And so I don't know. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but yeah, no energy, no motivation, nothing. And I kind of wanted to just quit. Thankfully, I didn't blow anything up. So
there you go. Yeah.
You sound like John sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, so I kind of got through that, and you know, I'm feeling a lot better about things. But anyway, that was no fun, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but yeah, I think a lot of it just came down to, so my dad's been having health problems, and I mean, he went into the hospital, and then now he's in a rehab center where they're helping him get through some of the health issues that he's got. And my mom keeps calling me up and, you know, well, you know, you got to help us sell the equipment in his dental practice, or you've got to help us with this, you know, this thing or the other thing. And I have 9 brothers and sisters, so, you know, it doesn't all happen all at once. But
are you the oldest?
I am the oldest.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's been somewhat exhausting, and it finally came to a head, and I just told her on a couple of things. I'm like, I don't have time you know, I don't have the time or the bandwidth to do it. And I think that took its toll because I'm not very good at telling my parents no.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to help, and I feel this obligation to help, but at the same time, you know, it's just I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't make it fit because I still have to work and pay bills and stuff. My family thinks I'm retired or something. Right?
Exactly.
Like
right.
you just sit at home all day, you know, and pick your nose. So anyway, most of the stuff that I've been dealing with lately has been more on the family and personal side. But yeah, I just had to put my foot down and start telling folks no. Which is unfortunate because then what happens is my mom goes and makes my sister worry about it. So because she's the other one, she's stay-at-home mom, and you know, so obviously she doesn't have anything going on during the day. So,
you need to get a real fucking job, man.
I know, right? Just so that I can
a cover, like a cover job. You need to tell people you work at Burger King. Like, dude, I can't. I really literally have to get off the phone right now. My boss is just like yelling at me right now. So
yeah.
There's a business model, right? We could provide that for other entrepreneurs.
Cover jobs.
Like,
I like it.
Yeah. So I don't mean to complain, but at the same time, it's really frustrating because it's like, oh well, he doesn't have a real job, so you know. And then beyond that, I've been working on this system and lining up these sponsorships. And then the other thing that I've been doing is re-recording those videos for that course. So I should have those done this afternoon. I still have to do some editing on them, but for the most part, then I can kind of solidify a lot of that content better than I had in the past, and put together some more worksheets and guides and just make that all work. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I may finish some of that up on Monday, but other than that, you know, I'm pretty well set for all that stuff. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys and figuring out, okay, you know, how do we sell this to your audience? How do we sell this to my audience? And, you know, just make all that work. So
yeah, I'd like to see what you got there whenever you feel ready to share it. How many weeks is it? Like, how is it structured?
So there are, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I think there are 10 lessons.
Okay.
You know, so in fact, I can just, where are my slides? I can just tell you what's in it. Oh, look, it was all still full screened. Okay.
So it's like 10 lessons spread out over a few weeks.
Yeah, over like 8 weeks.
Okay.
That's kind of how it's designed. So the first one's just an overview on how to look for a job. I think I'm going to add a module to it, but I'm also going to just put it up on the website that shows, hey, this is traditionally how people look for jobs, and this is why it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be another module in the course. But there are 10 lessons. The first one's the productive job search, and it just walks through. Essentially, you're going to figure out what company you want to work for. You're going to make sure that you do the research on the company so that you can put your best foot forward when you apply. You're also going to go try and meet people from the company so that you can get hired as an insider. And then it also teaches you how to do some other things to get noticed by people in the company, and what to do if somebody
running naked through the parking lot is always an option.
Yeah, that's noticed, but not necessarily. I don't know. I guess if you're in good shape, you know.
Depends on the company, man.
That's true. So anyway, so that's the productive job search, and then it's identify your dream job, upgrade your resume, researching companies, meeting people from your target companies, getting noticed by employers from the outside, getting noticed by employers from the inside. I need to insert kind of a sub-module in here that's, if somebody approaches you from a company that wasn't on your list, you know, here's kind of an adaptation to doing the research, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you have to go back and you have to look and see if they match up with your dream job, and then go do the research on the company. But those are mostly targeted. If you have a company in mind, this is how you get noticed by them, by doing specific things. Mastering programming interviews, handling offer letters and salary negotiations. And then the last one is how to become a better programmer. And so it's essentially, if you find that you don't have all the skills that they say they want, how do you get those? You know, how do you learn it? How do you pick it up? So.
Nice. And so are the modules an hour, half an hour?
They're about a half an hour each.
Half an hour each. Okay.
The getting noticed ones are a little longer. They're an hour or so because each one has like 6 to 8 strategies in it.
Okay.
And so I may break that up into just sub modules.
Interesting. Well, I like the sound of that.
Yep. So I'm just re-recording it. 2 of the webinars, because I originally recorded it as webinars. 2 of the webinars didn't have good sound quality. It was using the internal mic on my laptop.
Oh, okay.
So I have to re-record those. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to break some of these up because I had upgrading your resume and identifying your dream job in the same webinar.
Okay.
And that, you know, they really don't go together. They kind of do, because if you know what kind of a job you want, you can at least tailor your resume to that, and then you tailor it further for the company you're applying to. But
okay. Yeah. So right now, when somebody signs up, do they just get all access to everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can go through it as fast as they want.
Interesting. Interesting. So I'm also talking to, so John, the guy from the Clever Programmer reached out to us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so he's got this like how to get a job as a Python developer course. So I'm going to take a look at that next week also.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's I respond to him too about doing a live stream sometime next week, because he basically built his entire like business off of us, right? Like,
right.
We were the
Yeah.
inspiration for his business.
His sales pages look strikingly familiar to me.
and he's one of those ones. He's actually done better, like in some regards, right? Like he's doing. I think his YouTube channel has actually surpassed us. Like I think he's got more subscribers, and he's just doing a good job selling, right? With his course, his Python courses that he's been launching. So
yeah, Python's also like a exploding niche right now. So
yeah.
So yeah, he's in a good position.
But it's a good story for us too, just because we could say like, and he's willing to say like, hey, Simple Programmer is what inspired me to start my business and become successful, and we're pitching the success. So I think that's a good win-win situation. So
yeah, it's a good testimonial for you as well as something that you can profit by.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though. Even the name, right? It's like Clever Programmer.
It's like let me just look up some other modifiers I can use here.
But apparently on his channel all the time he talks about Simple Programmer and says that's where he got
Oh, that's cool.
the inspiration and the idea. So
nice.
Because multiple people have emailed me and said, oh, this guy, Clever Programmer, you need to have him on your channel. So yeah.
Nice.
Cool. But yeah, so it was a downer week for the first part of the week. And I don't know what it was, but something hit about middle of the afternoon on Thursday. And then I was all of a sudden out of that funk. I didn't feel bad about myself. I didn't feel bad about all the stuff going on in life. I didn't feel bad. It's
we need to bottle whatever that is. We need to bottle that.
Well, it came about the same time I drank a Rockstar, so that might be it.
Okay.
Anyway,
Rockstar cures depression. All right.
Yeah, another reason I hesitate to say depression is because a lot of people can't bounce back without real help, and I seem to be able to have done that at least this time. So, but if there's a temporary version of that, that's kind of what I had, because I was pretty down. I wasn't like down on myself so much. I just I wasn't happy and I wasn't motivated to do anything.
Yeah, but and to some degree that's normal, right? It's like this is like the cycle of life, right?
Yeah, but I've never had it last more than half a day.
Yeah.
And this time it was 3 days. So
yeah. And I've been sick the last, I can't believe I can't shake this shit. It's been like over a week now. I've been sore throat for like going on like 9 days now.
There's been some nasty flu that's really hit hard this year.
Yeah.
And I hear that, even healthy people have struggled with it. So, yeah.
You need to stop walking around without any jackets, John.
That's right. Put a shirt on for once in your life.
Being cold doesn't make you sick. Look at Wim Hof. Tell Wim Hof to put on a fucking jacket.
Teachable tried to blow up my business last week. That was exciting.
Oh yeah, what about that? Yeah, let's talk about that. Tell them about the.
Yeah, I was in Vegas and I see this email from Teachable attorney. I didn't know he was an attorney. Just see this email saying, "Hey, by the way, you are skirting the copyright issues. We're going to take down your course. We're going to take down your school." Basically, that's what he meant. I'm like, fuck, this is bad news, man. What the hell? So we're looking at the email, and I'm like, oh. And then I was talking to John about, like, what do I do? And drafted this long-ass email about how this is not copyright infringement and how, like, in the past, we've had this problem with YouTube and publishers, and every time we've won this case and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was like a work of negotiation more than anything else to get the guy to kind of buy into that possibility that, okay, well, it's not a copyright infringement issue here. So I think the initially when I was writing the email, I was like, oh man, this is not copyright. Here are the reasons why this is not copyright. And in the end, I said, by the way, I can't take down the whole school in 2 days. Come on, like, this is kind of crazy. Like, my business will get shut down if I have to take down the school in 2 days. Like, what will I do, right? And then, talking about that email, we realized that there was no need to even put that negotiation. Like, you never give a second negotiation option in a negotiation game. You just give one.
Right.
Because fight the copyright issue rather than fight, like, hey, how can I do it in 2 days? In which case he could have said, oh, okay, we'll give you 7 days. And then I would have been fucked too.
Right.
So we took out that, and it was just like, hey, here's the reason why this is not copyright infringement.
And we researched the guy. So like initially when Manny brought me the email, we're looking at it, and we don't know if he's just a customer service guy. So I'm like, oh, let's look him up and see. So we look him up on LinkedIn, and he's a lawyer, right? And he's a legit lawyer. He graduated from Harvard and then went to Penn U. So or UPenn, whatever it is. So so we're like, so I told Manny, I was like, we gotta, like, we can't argue with him, right? We can't fight. Like, there's no way you're going in a legal battle with a lawyer and telling him he's wrong, right? Like, there's no way. So we took the different tact. I was like, let's do the Dale Carnegie, let's go and let's say, let's praise him. Let's say, oh, you're a prestigious and an accomplished lawyer. So, and you have the ultimate authority and say on this. But here's what, and we even put in a thing like, we looked you up on LinkedIn, or looked up you up in LinkedIn, and saw that you graduated from Harvard and Penn State. So, that's cool, whatever, and then basically like led into it like, oh, but this is what we thought on it. No, to phrase it kind of the way of like deferring to him, so that, the idea being that if you don't argue with someone, if you just praise them and recognize their authority, they're more likely to be magnanimous than they are to get into conflict with you. And I mean, it was a long shot, but it worked, right? It's like so yeah.
It was also interesting that we actually praised him. We kind of, like, we did in front and influence people. We went all the way like, hey, you are the authority, you know what you're talking about. And then we went on to like argue our case. In the sense, we could have started by arguing the case. We could have done the exact email by just like saying super shit like, no, you're wrong, let me explain you why. That would have busted everything up. But just by saying that, hey, you're right, I understand, you're the power, you got it, and then saying the same thing, I think we won the guy over. And he was like apologetic later on when he sent the email saying, hey man, you're cool, and sorry for all the trouble we might have caused you. It was quite an exercise in negotiation and people skills. Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a course on flattery then?
Coming up.
Summaries of 12 books that'll help you flatter your way out of a legal battle.
Be sure to comp that guy a subscription if you do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, these guys have access to everything we do.
Yeah.
Everything inside anyways. So he actually went and oh, so one of the things I said in the email was like, hey, by the way, I've had this problem before where the publisher, because I noticed that he said, oh, you're you're skirting the copyright issues, so we're going to shut you down. So I noticed that he might not have even viewed the videos. So I was like, oh, by the way, I have these problems. You know, the publishers will come and try to take us down on YouTube and put down retraction notice. But then when we go back and say, hey, watch the videos, these are fair use, they actually watch the videos and they realize they are fair use.
Yeah.
And they retract. So I think he actually was forced to watch the videos as a result of it, because he sent in the next email, he's like, yeah, I watched your videos and you guys seem to be doing fair use, so it's all right. So he didn't even watch the videos earlier. He was just like ready to take down anything that's book summary.
Yeah, well, he might have also, he may have also seen just the way the marketing, because you do kind of lean heavily on the books in the marketing, on the marketing side. Yes. So he may have been looking mainly at that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, shit, it's book summary. So what do we do?
Right.
That's something that I'm always like, I think at some point in the scale, I'll have to remove the book covers as well. Maybe I'll just go with book names. That's when that point comes. Yeah, I'll have to do that too, because I think other book summary guys get to the point as well. So that's cool. But that's only in marketing. Inside the course, there is no book covers. So it's,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a good example that just goes to show you, like, just the whole, like, because it was like one of those like pause and think moments. It's like, how can you answer this email, right? There's a way to get the result that you want, right? And like, if you just reply to the guy and you're like, this is not a copyright, like, you don't understand, man, like, this is not a copyright issue, like, just the same thing, making the same case, but you haven't deferred to his authority and given him some praise, then you're going to get a totally different response, and he's going to be argumentative and fight with you about it. So
yeah, attorney, argumentative, and
there's the number one, the golden rule to flattery, though. Although, I mean, honestly, though, you don't have to necessarily flatter someone. You can give them sincere praise, right? I mean, it is sincere. Like, hey, you graduate from Harvard and UPenn. Actually, this is why we're being so delicate, because we know you're a badass, right? So it is sincere. But the number one rule to flattery is that the bigger the ego, the more susceptible to flattery. So
really?
Yeah, the higher someone is up, the more susceptible to flattery in general, right? Like
but flattery or compliment, like Donald Trump, I know he's totally like, you go say, man, you're amazing, and he'll be your best friend. He'll call you mom.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like is that the ego, the bigger ego person is more susceptible to flattery than someone who isn't as big ego, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because someone who has less of an ego isn't gonna interpret. They're gonna sincere compliment is gonna hit them stronger. But
you're talking about two different things: someone who has a big ego or someone who's higher up in the chain. Because it could be different people. Like someone with very little ego could be high up in the chain, or someone who could be big ego could be low down the chain.
No, but you can usually pick out, right? Someone who is higher up in the chain is usually someone with a bigger ego, right? It's sometimes it's hard to rise up so high unless you think highly of yourself.
Okay, so that's not ego; it's maybe self-esteem. Well, it's interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it was fun. It was fun in the sense for the whole weekend. My head was like in the wrong place. I was like, shit, I was copying stuff over to the other platform just to get the other back on track, and I was just like messed up, man. Shit. Yeah. And Grant Cardone wasn't helping either.
Just need to get your money, man. Just go get it.
Just get your money. Oh my god. But his sales stuff was good. Like his sales training at the end, like the last hour, talking about some sales stuff, that was good. But he was just.
Yeah, he's talking about being persistent, right? Like being just like keep on going and going for the close, like when the close is available, instead of like taking through the full sales cycle. It's like if you can go straight to close, go straight to the close. Like don't add this other bullshit.
You know, that's totally true. I mean, I've you know, like I said, I have a bunch of people now lined up for sponsorships, and a bunch of them I didn't think they would renew or, you know, come through and sign up. And, you know, I kind of felt like, okay, well, I'm either going to close this deal or, you know, it's not going to happen. And so I just went for the close, and I was surprised at how many people went, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was say, here, you know, here's a proposal. Here's the sponsorship level that I think would work for you. And they go, okay.
Yeah. In a way, you're saving them the effort, right? Because it's like, oh shit, I don't really want to get on a meeting and like look over all these charts and stuff. And if you're just like, hey, this is what will suit you best. You need this and that and that. It's like walking into a department store and you know, trying to buy like a suit or something, and the person goes, oh yeah, this is the one for you. This looks good. Like this is what you want. Boom, 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 boom. And then you're like, oh, there you go. And now I've got 15 ties. All right.
Can I please always shop like that though? Just show up and they just tell me what I want, and it's actually what I want.
Right. But sometimes that's the best, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Josh, seems like the productivity experiment is not working, right? How many clicks did we get?
Yeah, let me look. I can tell you. So I think we're probably around 100 at this point. We've sold one or two.
Yeah.
So what I did was we tried an experiment where I put a link to the productivity course into the site navigation. Okay, yeah, we're at 113 uniques and 125 clicks, and we've sold maybe 2.
So that's like $80.
Yeah.
$80. Well, we can try to change the price. I mean, we can go even lower on the price to see what happens.
What's it at now? Is it
It's I think 40% off right now. Let me take a look.
Is it 20? Is it it's like $39?
Maybe 30. Yeah, it is $39 or 40.
Okay.
It comes down to 40 something.
Why don't you try making it $9?
Holy smokes.
Well, okay.
How about this? I mean, we can do $9, but how about we do like a watered down version of it, in the sense only $10 or something, and see if we can sell $9 for that.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, we could do that, or we could just. I mean, if you just lower the price for a few days, it doesn't hurt anything, and it also saves you all the hassle of putting that together.
No, it's no hassle for me to put that together. It takes like 10 minutes and teach about together.
Okay.
And completely new sales page and.
Okay, that would be fine. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, so this was kind of one of the things that I did this week was looking at. So John, I think I finally figured out the multivariate equation that caused our sales to drop off.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Okay. So there were several factors. So the biggest thing was, okay, so we were promoting the book we were getting a lot of extra traffic all last year, like the first part of last year, because we were the book blog posts that you were writing were getting posted on DZone. We're getting tons of extra traffic from that.
Right.
So our email subscriber count went way up, right? And we were promoting the 2 email courses that I created that go into the sales sequence at the end.
Okay.
And we were getting all of our leads from that. As soon as we stopped getting that extra traffic, our email sales or our email signups tanked because we just weren't getting as many people coming in. At the same time, I also switched us over to Thrivecart.
Right.
Thrivecart definitely cost us a whole bunch of sales. Like, I don't know how much. Yeah, Thrivecart, we were losing probably our conversion rate when I switched to Thrivecart dropped by not maybe like 20%.
Huh. Why?
I think it was that issue that I identified with the upsells, where if the upsell if they didn't take the upsell, the whole transaction got thrown out. We didn't get any money from it.
But you killed the upsell.
Well, I killed the upsells eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, when I realized what was going on, I killed them.
But that was because your upsell was hosted on a different sales page, not on Thrive sales page?
Possibly.
We did the whole thing, right? Our conversions were going up with the upsell and everything. We did better.
Yeah, but you don't know. We may have actually had the same thing going on where we were losing sale. Like it could have been even higher potentially. I don't know if that was if that bug was hurting us in the case of our promotion. But it's possible it was biting us there too, in which case we would have done even better. So the traffic drops off. We start to lose. We're not getting as many email signups going into the email courses, right? So then last fall, we decided, we're not getting very many email signups. Let's try the book. So we switched over and we're promoting the book as our main lead magnet.
Right.
And then I've observed, I'm like, our sales page conversions just dropped way off. Like, especially for how to market yourself. The conversion rate on that page dropped by like half.
Okay. Yeah.
And I realized, so I did some analysis on it this week, and I realized that the reason that the conversion rate dropped is because people are not coming in. The clicks are not coming from the email courses that I created anymore. So basically, like I can drive clicks, like with the daily emails that I've been doing, I can drive clicks, but not sales.
Okay.
So the traffic looks the same, but it's completely different. So we're getting the same number of, pretty close to the same number of clicks, but they're not coming in through the email course. They're coming in through the daily emails that I've been doing. And so basically that explains all of the difference in the conversion rate.
Because there's no real pitch and there's no urgency.
There's no scarcity. Yeah. So basically I've just kind of like this week I realized like we can't sell, and like our audience will not buy anything without urgency, like hair on fire urgency.
Yeah. So maybe the daily emails isn't necessary.
That is exactly the conclusion I came to. So I'm going to cut back to probably 2 a week, 1 or 2 a week.
How much do you sell on your daily emails when you do this? Like what's the typical or average?
It's not unusual to not sell anything.
0.
Yeah. Not unusual. So
a lot of work for that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to cut. I'm definitely going to cut that way back, which will, it'll actually increase our list growth a little bit because we won't be getting quite as many unsubscribes. But yeah, basically, I'm kind of like It's not even worth pitching. It's not even worth pitching the product. I mean, maybe I'll link to it occasionally if it fits, but it's not worth like. Because I've tried doing like the kind of the hard pitch at the end where you're closing, you're like trying to pitch a benefit and you're pushing, and it doesn't work. Like people just do not buy it. I've actually had better success just casually dropping a link in the body of the email.
Right. Yeah.
I've seen that work better on a few occasions. But yeah, like just like having a specific call to action does not, for our audience, it just does not work. Like, the only thing that actually makes any appreciable amount of sales is to have like a really, structured, time limited deadline. I was thinking, okay, is the problem that we've trained because people say, oh, you're going to train your audience to only buy from you on sales, which I don't really agree with. And I'm like, well, no, these people are coming in. Yeah. These people have only been on the list for a few weeks. They've never seen a sale from us. So it's not like, I mean, what they're seeing, they're out there. Everybody's on email lists and they're used to getting, you know, constant sales thrown at them. So it's like the environment out there is training people to do this, whether you do it in your business or not.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So people are basically conditioned to buy.
What?
You know,
What's your typical EPC on website? Like with 400 clicks on any of the courses, what do you get directly from the website?
I don't know. I'd have to calculate that because we get so much. I mean, we get 300,000 page views a month on the website. So our per session, our per visitor value is really low, but it's just because we have so much traffic.
Yeah, you evaluated for 100. We have 100 clicks for the productivity course, and we got 2 sales.
Right. Oh yeah. So the EPC on our sales pages is like, okay. So before the conversion rate dropped way off, for how to market yourself, I think it was like around $1.80 EPC, and that was without. That's not factoring in the upsells.
And that was just straight up people going directly from the website.
That was people. No, that was people going through the email course that I'd created and going through the sales sequence. I don't know what the EPC would be if you found us randomly on Google and then clicked over to the sales page. I imagine it would be very, very low.
Well, that's why I'm trying to compare what's going on with the productivity thing compared to any of the other courses you guys have there. Like if there's any comparison there.
I mean, I think it probably is, honestly, because like I would expect, so, you know, like with our other courses, it's probably like 1 to 2% would be really high, would be pretty high for the conversion rate on cold, like essentially cold traffic.
Yeah.
Because they're not coming in from a big email campaign. So we can't expect that we're going to be able to sell 10% or even 5%, I don't think.
Yeah.
One thing might be to on the pitches, I like definitely get rid of the daily emails, but on the ones that you do pitch, maybe to pitch the email courses.
Yeah, I was thinking I think I might do that. And I think I also the other thing is to get more of the low priced offers. Like the $5 that I have been able to sell from the daily emails is the $5 impulse buy. And then what that does is it creates a scarcity situation. Once they buy it, then they're getting the one-time offers for the upsells. So it's putting scarcity into the mix without having to do like, you know, saying this offer ends at midnight kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was just kind of like, that kind of was a little deflating.
It's kind of good news though, because I mean, if you think about it, it means that you have to do less work, right?
Yeah.
To get the same result. So anytime you figure out some fat that you can cut out, that's good, right? You know, otherwise it would be worse news to say, oh shit, 25% of our sales are coming from daily emails.
Right.
And then like, oh, got to keep on that treadmill. So.
Well, okay. So speaking of cutting out fat, so I increased the blog traffic by like 10 to 12%. So I went through last week. I did some work and looked at, all right, what are the bottom? Well, okay. So I looked on Google. We had over 2,600 pages indexed on Google.
Oh, wow.
Because every pretty link that we have is indexed because we didn't have that setting set. So I went through, I had Caesar go through and update all those pretty links. Having VAs is nice. Only 1,200 of them. And then I changed the setting in Pretty Link to default it to do not index this. So that that right there basically should have cut our index pages by half.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so
then I
went quality now.
Right. Then I went through and I looked at the bottom. So I exported a dump out of Google Analytics, and I looked at, we had about 1,200 pages that Google had indexed from the site. And so I looked at what are the bottom, basically anything getting less than 20 hits per month, 20 page views per month. I just basically chopped that off. So what I did was I went through, I had Caesar do this, went through 500 blog posts and changed them to, what was it? So do follow, no index. So tells Google, don't ignore links on this page, but do not index this page.
Interesting. Okay.
And so that brought our total index pages when the dust settles should go from 2,600 down to about 500. I also went through almost all the pages. We had like 200 pages that were indexed, just like not blog posts but pages, and they were like landing pages and like stuff that had no content on it and all that. And like some of them were the one-time offer pages got indexed. So I just cleaned all that out. So I went from 200 pages to 17 pages that are indexed. And then I got the posts down from about 1,000 down. Currently it's at 800. It should eventually drop to about 500. And our traffic went up by about 10%.
Wow. Okay.
So, and that's 10% overall. That's not 10% organic. Like that's not just search engine traffic. It's all overall traffic. So the bottom 50% of the page of the blog posts only accounted for 3% of the traffic, or 3% of the page views on the entire site. So basically dropping that 3% of page views increased our traffic. And the reason it works is, so your site kind of has a domain. Google swears this isn't true, but every SEO expert says it is, that your site has like a domain score.
Yeah.
Domain rank. And when you have 2,600 index pages, you're diluting, so that domain rank gets spread out over all your pages. Yeah. And then when you concentrate, so basically what I've done is I've taken that score and I've concentrated it onto 500 pages instead of 2,500. And it's crazy. Like we went from the number 5 spot on this keyword I was going after to number 1, just from like, and it's a pretty high, it's a pretty high impression keyword. So yeah, that I think it'll go up a little bit more once the rest of the, I'm still seeing all the pretty links showing up in the Google search results, but once those all come out, then I think it should go up even more. So between that and the permalink changes, like those were 2 really big changes that have definitely increased the traffic.
Nice.
So yeah, I was pretty skeptical because John and I had heard about doing this at Traffic and Conversion, and what I didn't want to do was, they were recommending delete the pages, which I really didn't want to do because then you've got broken links everywhere and it's a pain in the butt. Right. But you can just change the setting you can use Yoast plugin to do it, and it was like maybe a 2-day project, but
because then permanent. It's invisible to Google, right? So
basically, yep. But all the links to it still work and everything. So we actually probably won't lose much traffic. Like even that 3% of traffic that we were getting, we probably won't lose that because a lot of that was just internal people clicking around the site or searching. So it's like, I don't think Google was sending us any traffic for those pages at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool to see to see it actually work. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to push the envelope on it a little bit and just like every quarter maybe take a look at what are our bottom, just the bottom 5 or 10 pages or 5% of pages, and like snip them off. At some point there will be a diminishing return probably, and I should be able to detect that, and then I could just walk it back. But
yeah.
I'm just gonna keep cutting until it stops working.
No, yeah, that's a good strategy. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
yep. So yeah, I've got. So I'm going through. I signed up for Brian Dean's SEO That Works 3.0 course, and it is really freaking good. Okay. Really freaking good. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I'm on. The biggest, basically the kind of the premise of this course is that you need, so you have to have really good content. Then you have to get links for the content, and that's the hard part. And so what he teaches is that what people do when they create content is they're creating content they think their audience will love, which is great, right? But and you can get a lot of good, like you can get social shares and everything from that. And they've done research, and like they've compared the amount of social traction that a post gets has no correlation whatsoever to how many links it gets.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
So what he recommends is that you do research on who are the people creating links, who are the sites creating links in your niche, and then you create content that they are going to link to.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so you're actually shifting your audience a little bit. Like you're there's overlap, right? It's not like your audience. It's not like we're going to just like throw up, I don't know, garbage, but it's specifically targeted at the few sites out there that are actually going to link to you. And then that way, when you reach out to them, they're actually excited about it versus just like seeing, because that's the stuff they're already sharing and they're already linking to. So it's like a different dynamic when you're doing the backlink research, backlink outreach. So that's kind of the premise of it. And I've gone through the first two modules so far, and the first module is about finding the sites. I found some really good topics that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of from taking this approach, where I'm looking at I've identified a whole list of sites that I want to go after and get links from, and like one thing, John, I was thinking about doing is an infographic on code comments.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, yep. I think that he has a whole. So module 2 is like a series of frameworks for different pieces of content, like a case study, list post. Like he has very good formulas for all of these for 7 different types of content that he finds get really good traction from these sites that are creating backlinks. But yeah, like an infographic. I think that we could totally kill it with an infographic about code comments and why they're horrible. And basically what he recommends is like you create. So there's these influencers out there that have these sites. So you create content that shows how they're right.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna cite you. Yeah. Kind of like Uncle Bob did with your video, right? About like the social justice warriors. Like, and then it's not like, then they're citing you because you're helping them prove their point versus you reaching out to them and saying, could you link to this random blog post?
Right. So how could I use this in the book space? Could I do like the top 10 books for YouTubers and then reach out to all the authors and do an infographic and say, hey, guys,
so he does like one of the formats, or one of the 7 content frameworks that he talks about is like a top 50, like a roundup type of post, or like an awards type of post. And we tried this ourselves with the podcast awards, and it didn't work that well. But yeah, Manny, I'd have to think about that. But yeah, you could totally do like, you'd need to find people that were putting together websites probably that would be interesting to your audience.
I would like to get authors to link back to me. And if
so authors, a lot of times authors don't have a platform.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Again, so you got to make sure that you're going after people that have a platform.
Yeah.
And promote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So go
right.
Maybe create an infographic with the books that actually are by authors who are fucking influential, and then use that.
Yeah, as long as they have like a website. Like there's authors I'm sure that don't even have a website.
Yeah. No,
you're making me sad, but you're right.
There's like no back end. They sell books and that's all they do. So one thing he said too in this course is that it doesn't have to be, and this is a really good point. So you just need backlinks, okay? you don't have to it doesn't necessarily, because what you're trying to do is get your overall domain authority up.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily you need backlinks from sites in niche that are kind of in your niche.
Right.
But they don't have to be backlinks from necessarily who you think they would need to be. So he gave the example of one of the students who took his course is an SEO guy, consultant. He got a client. The client was in the construction materials niche. Okay. So this guy basically sold pipe fittings. How boring can you get? So what this guy realized, he did a bunch of research, and he realized that one of the things people use these pipe fittings for is making parkour courses. Okay.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So that's not something that this guy's clients are going to be interested in, because they're all like, for construction foremen. But he did like a whole big blog post about how to build a parkour course with these pipe fittings on their domain, and it got a ton of traction. And so like they're basically all their search rankings for all their terms went up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, that's kind of the mindset that you have to go with. Is like, it has to be related, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, you're not creating content for your audience specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving people who are, you're going after, he calls them link creators, but you're going after, these influencers. So it was a pretty big mindset shift for me. So I'm working with, I've been talking to Sheena, we hired her to do that ebook project. And so I'd asked her to do a blog post about code reviews as like a test. And so I gave her the Brian Dean's. Well, every time I share like an article with her about by Brian Dean, she's like all excited. So I shared that lesson about how to do the he calls it the go-to guidebook, is one of the content frameworks. And so I shared like the video lesson and the handout. So we're working through that, and she's really like, she's getting it.
Cool.
And so I'm going to probably do 2 or 3 of these with her. And if she seems like I think she will be able to just produce these, because he's got the frameworks, the way that he's got the framework structured. Like a good journalist could actually do a pretty good job on these posts, even without a lot of domain knowledge. So I think she's going to be able to, I mean, she's a programmer too, but I think she's going to be able to kill it. So if she does, I'm just going to turn her loose on this, because I think she could do 1 or 2 of these a month easily, and potentially handle the back. Like I could basically train her on this whole system and then just let her go, and she could probably just run with it.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, it's basically like, it's the game. I was looking for a game plan really, and this seems like he's got a pretty good. It's like, and then so module 3 is about how to do the actual outreach.
It's crazy.
You spam a bunch of people and say, "Hey, I read your article on your website," which is actually a podcast, and there's not a whole lot to read there. And I really loved it, and so I think you should link to my thing as well. That's how you do that.
Exactly, and the problem with that approach is that it works, but you could probably get 1 backlink for every 100 to 500 emails you send, and the problem is you run out of websites. And it takes a lot of time to harvest an email, like you've got to you got to go to the website, you got to dig around on the website, find an email address, or look for their contact form. And that takes 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes per site. And then if you just, if you put together a list of 10,000 and you burn through them and you've only gotten 10 backlinks, so that's like not a very good ROI.
Yeah.
So Brian Dean probably has a better way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, because you're creating the type of content that they already link to on their site. So I don't know how it's going to work yet when we get to the outreach piece, but it is apparently it's a much easier pitch to make, and people are much more responsive.
Well, I get that too, where you link to this, blah blah blah, and it's in the show notes. But yeah, I linked to it because somebody mentioned it on the show, but. I wind up junking a lot of that stuff because it's not helpful. I'm curious to see how it works for you though.
Yeah, I'm curious and skeptical as well. So
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny too how like no matter what people say about SEO, it still comes down to backlinks. Like it's always backlinks. This is like the thing is like whatever, you know, but you know, but getting those backlinks, I mean, that's the hard work, right? It's like is figuring that out and getting people linked. And you know, when you think about it, like early on in Simple Programmer, what I did to grow Simple Programmer originally was I found a bunch of sites that were doing weekly roundups or daily roundups of the best blog posts. And I just looked at what kind of blog posts they were linking to. And then I started writing posts like that. And then I started emailing them and I was like, hey, I just made an article that you might want to link to in your daily roundup today. Right. And so over time, they started linking and automatically looking at Simple Programmer to find those articles. And like, you know, Alvin Ashcroft's Daily Dewdrop, like he still links us all the time. And there was another guy that doesn't link as much because we don't have the technical content, but I forgot his name now. But that's, I mean, that's a good example. That's like an easy one where you know you're obviously creating the kind of content that they want to link to.
Right.
So,
well, and you can take the same tactic, adapt it a little bit, and then you've got this is the thing that got the most votes on Hacker News or Reddit or DZone or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna also one thing I'm also gonna do is I'm almost kind of like viewing this as like blogging golf. Like how many pages can I get rid of on our site from Google's index and keep getting the traffic up? But so our best post right now is the top 10 that Johns did that video last fall, and it was like the top 10 programming languages. So one of the content frameworks in this course is he calls it the expanded list post. So you rather than just doing a standard list post, you do a list post plus you're also giving them like next steps and actionable info like right there.
Yeah.
So it's not so overwhelming. It's not like 200 things you have to do tomorrow. It's like 10 things you can do right now, and here are the steps to do them. And so I think I'm going to take that top 10. I want that top 10 post. I want to own that permanently. Because
top 10 programming languages?
Yeah, because we rank #1 now for like a couple of really high impression keywords, and I want to just like lock that up. So I think I'm going to take that post and keep updating it every year, and then also turn it into one of these expanded list posts. So it'd be best programming languages to learn in 2000 and whatever, and here's how to get started. So like, you know, give them like actionable steps. If they decide they want to do Python, then, you know, here's some of the resources. Here's where you start, like that type of thing.
That makes a lot of sense too, from the standpoint of you can get people on your list for specific topics.
Yeah.
And then you can work out affiliate deals and stuff.
Exactly.
Around those.
Yep. So, but yeah, so that's really exciting. So that course is not open. I guess he relaunches it periodically, but I seriously think I'm going to try to get in touch with him and find out when he's going to relaunch it. And because we have a lot of people on Simple Programmer list that email and they're like, I don't know how to get, like, I can't seem to get any traffic. Do you have any traffic generation strategies? And this would be, you know, this would be a really good affiliate promotion for those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a high, like it was the base, the lowest price point was $9.97. So that's actually what I signed up for. It goes, but he goes all the way up to like 5,000 on it. So,
right.
Yeah. So if we made a few sales, it would be worth it.
Yeah. And at this point, like just raising the traffic, I mean, that's going to make a huge difference in the overall revenue at this point.
Yep. Yeah. So really my focus for this month, this last couple weeks and the next few weeks is I'm working on getting all like kind of DevOps stuff done. Like I want to set up a test server, cleaning up like our LastPass and all that stuff. And then basically just SEO. I'm going to work with Sheena and try to get that, like build an engine for that, to where she's I'm pretty sure that I can just hand this to her, whole system to her, and let her manage it. And eventually, maybe we have another writer or two that she works with to produce more content. But yeah, for like Brian Dean, he basically has 38 pages on his website.
Yeah.
And he has, like, for some of them, he's got over 1,000 backlinks.
Wow.
So he's ranking, like, he ranks number 1, 2, and 3 for SEO terms that, like, he's competing with like Moz and, you know, these fairly large companies, and it's just him. But yeah, he doesn't blog really hardly at all. He's like constantly promoting. He updates his pages and he's constantly promoting them and to getting more backlinks. So
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's a good strategy, like, because it's like, I mean, if you think about how that works too, with the, you know, the concentration of the the power, right? If you the more backlinks that you have, the less, like, the more that writing an article that doesn't have backlinks or isn't as good is actually a penalty, right, for you. So if you keep it lean, and then that's smart. Then he's not on that treadmill of content production.
Exactly.
He's just creating more backlinks and just making his empire more valuable without having to do that whole, you know, pumping out content.
Yep.
Creating content with already that in mind. I think, like, with that mindset.
Yeah, I think probably the ideal would be if you had to have a big team to where you could create this, because this level of content, like, these posts are probably going to take us 20 to 30 hours to do. They're not like trivial posts that we're going to be putting together. So, but I think the ideal would be to have a team where you could put those out multiple times per week, and you really get volume, and then you just keep whacking off the bottom, you know, because, like, some of it will work, some of it won't. But at this point, with where the internet is now, like, it's better to take a little more time, you know, put more effort into the content up front, and then just promote, versus like just continually cranking out new stuff doesn't have as much impact as it used to, and it can actually hurt things. So it's been pretty interesting.
Cool. How much was the course?
The version that I took that I bought is $997, so $1,000 basically.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely one that I would highly recommend. So it's not, I like it because it's not, I don't think there's any snake oil in it. There's nothing that's gonna that I'm gonna regret doing in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
his sites usually go up whenever there's a Google update. His sites usually go up. So.
Yeah, I'm working on planning out the next 12 months, or 12 weeks, and this is one of the things that I really want to get going better than I currently do. So, yeah. Of course, I'm just going to work through the Yoast SEO plugin first, I think.
Yeah, steps. Definitely. Like, I would say that if you have an established site, the low-hanging fruit is to, like, get Google Search Console set up so that you can see the keywords that people are using, where you're actually showing up in real searches. Content that you already have is showing up in real searches, and then you can use Yoast to try to boost your rankings for those. You'll probably find 5 to 10 pages that are showing up for keywords that are getting, you know, several thousand impressions a month. And if you can get into the top 10 for those, that's a pretty big win. And then, yeah, but it, like, if you don't have, like, a lot of traction yet, then that's, but, and then in your case, Chuck, probably maybe delisting a lot of your content.
Yeah, like I have to see how that affects things. And because, yeah, most people, if they're going to an older episode, it's because it got linked to from somewhere else.
Right.
It's not because it's coming out in search. The other thing is that I can build targeted pages. So it's like, you know, if you're coming to DevChat and you're looking at React content or something, right? I could just set up a page that lists all the top React stuff instead of, trying to, gain links to a year or two old podcast episode.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing. So a lot of the clients that use this software, this course, are doing e-commerce stuff, and it's it's impossible to get backlinks to e-commerce products.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how bad you want your Red Wagon to rank #1 in Google for Red Wagon, it's going to be really hard to get backlinks for it. So this is the strategy he uses, like creating resources on your domain that are somewhat targeted, but are going to get a lot of viral attention.
Well, and you already have authority for that keyword, so
yes. So if you just get, yep. So Manny needs to run. Should we do thoughts?
Sure.
You want to go first, Manny?
Sure. Didn't prepare for it. Well, I would say learn to negotiate. Because it's going to pay off big time in the long term. Everything in life is negotiation in some ways. Every conversation is a sales conversation, no matter what you're dealing with. So,
I would be interested in pitching a product on negotiation.
I mean, that's part of the whole social skills networking thing. But if you want to separate it out, we could do like a $9 thing at some point if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I think that's something that should be separated out from general social skills, because there's a big specific benefit payoff to that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, by the way, I didn't get the time to create those two, but I will create a productivity $9 product and the confidence one. Like, now that we agreed, I will create that as well. So next Monday you should have them both.
Okay.
And play whichever one you want, whichever way you want.
Cool. All right. Have fun.
Yeah, okay, guys.
I'll go next, I think. So my thought for the week, I've been thinking a lot this week about negative value. So there's the 80-20 rule, right? But there's also the 20-120 rule, which is that the top 20% of whatever produces 120% of the overall value, and the bottom 20% actually subtracts 20%. So you're actually like, if you had 100 products at your company, probably 20 of them make all the profit, and the bottom 20% lose money, and they bring it back down to 100%. So a lot of times cutting the bottom 20% of whatever it is automatically like boosts everything else. And that's kind of what I saw with this. Like, the bottom 20% of our blog posts were not provided. They were providing negative value, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the extra emails I was doing were taking my time. I don't think they were providing, there was some sales, but the ROI wasn't there. So it was kind of costing me money in some ways. Mm-hmm. And we're actually paying more for drips. So we'll save a little bit on our drip bill if I cut back. But so there's not just, so a lot of times people think that there's such a thing as negative productivity. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes it's not just that something you're doing is less productive. It can actually be, destructive. And so, yeah, that's my thought.
Let me see. I was going to say, I think there's, it's important to be persistent, both at the wide scale as well as the focus scale, right? Because when you're persistent at the wide scale, so for example, like, take the link building, right? This whole idea, like, you got to reach out to a lot of people. So you have to be persistent in reaching out, in having a wide range of or you're selling something, you have to have a wide range of people you're reaching out to. But then it's also very important to be persistent with following up on the leads that you generate from that, right? Because if you're just reaching out and being persistent and just taking the first no, then you're not going to get anywhere, right? You're going to have a very small results, but the ones that you're getting responses from, even if they're no, then you should be very persistent with those narrowly focused as well. So you have to be persistent in both directions, right? The width and the depth, in order to really maximize the success. Because it's like, I guess you could akin it to like planting crops, right? You can plant all these seeds. You have to plant a lot of seeds, but it's neither is a good strategy. It's not a good strategy to plant a lot of seeds and then not water them, right? That's a bad strategy. But it's also a bad strategy to only plant one seed and water the shit out of it, because if it dies, you're done. Like, you know what I mean? So you've got to kind of like plant. The best strategy is to plant a bunch of seeds, figure out which ones are actually growing, water them all, so figure out which ones are growing, and then focus on the ones that are growing the best and keep on watering those ones. And that's going to give you the biggest yield. And that's like, that's like the thing in whether it be relationship management, in getting prospects, or whatever it is. That's the optimal strategy, is always going wide and then deep. So.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of this just came down to, there were two things that stand out to me this week. One was just, you know what, you're going to hit a wall at some point. You're going to, it happens to everybody. So, I was hanging out with some friends last night and we were playing some board games and stuff. And, so one guy's talking about how he got a much better job. Another guy's talking about, some of the stuff that, he has going on and some of the new things that he's been able to do. And, we're sitting down in his basement and he's talking about the sauna that they put in the corner of their basement. And so, and I'm sitting there going, I've just been so exhausted this week and I didn't want to talk to anybody or do anything with anybody. And I was a little bit frustrated with myself and angry with myself and, blah, 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 blah. And, so for one, you're not the only person that feels that way. Everybody goes through this season of life and it's just part of life. That's not to say that there's nothing you can do. That's not to say you should give up, but just keep in mind that, you know what, for 2 or 3 days, I mean, there was nothing I could do other than just keep trying. And then eventually I came out of it. And, I know that everybody's experience is going to be different that way, but the thought really is you're going to hit a season in life that's hard and there's nothing wrong with that. And, just keep trying. And go get help if you have to. I mean, whatever. But, you're going to hit that. And the other thing that came out of it, too, is that like I said before, I've been telling my mom no. And it's tough because the way I was raised, it was, we take care of family. I mean, that's really kind of a core thing for me. But that doesn't mean that you have to do everything for everybody. And sometimes if you get to the point where you have a whole bunch of things that are critically important, core to who you are, you still might have to say no to some of those things. I mean, I still have to work. I still have to earn money. My kids, they like to have food on the table. They like having a roof over their heads. And so, I had to get okay with saying no to things that were important for me from a value standpoint to say yes to, so that I could say yes to the other things that really mattered. And so, all of this kind of came together in one big thing. But, ultimately, sometimes life's going to be tough. Sometimes you're going to have to say yes to things that you don't feel like doing and no to things that you really feel like you ought to do. And it's all okay. We're all human. We're all fighting the same fight. You'll hit that season and you can get through it.
Awesome.
I just say no to everything. So
I'm getting there. Very quickly getting there.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Take care.